This summer, the Naval Youth Interns went around Albuquerque interviewing Native American citizens about their knowledge, opinions, and experience with the minimum wage. We asked questions concerning the state, federal, and city minimum wages. We also asked them about how it was living under such conditions and what should be done about possibly increasing it.
And today we are going to be interviewing Carrie, who works at First Nations Health Center in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we're going to be talking to him about his opinions and his experience with the living wage and the minimum wage in Albuquerque. And so currently, I'm guessing you're employed here at First Nations, and so do you currently know what the minimum wage is in Albuquerque?
Currently I believe it's at $7.25.
Have you ever had a minimum wage job in your life?
Yes, I have.
What was it?
What was it?
Yeah.
Like what type of? I was in the food industry back in like high school and a little bit of college, the early part of college.
Did you happen to have anybody depending on you back then when you were working that job?
No.
Could you find that you could support yourself financially easily when you had that job?
Back then, yes.
Mostly because was it just because that you were on your own?
Lower cost of living, and plus I had assistance of my parents right out around high school and just a little after high school.
Okay. How about today? Do you find that you can support yourself a lot easier with financially?
With my current financial position?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And there's talk about raising the minimum wage to about $10.10 today. What do you think about that?
I think that would help. Actually, I think it's a great idea to increase the minimum wage. Just knowing the cost of living, knowing health insurance, benefits, all the other stuff that people need to take into consideration, I think that would be a great asset.
Mm-hmm. If you could raise it currently, because this the 10-10 is sort of far in the future, maybe a couple years in the future. If you could raise it right now, what would you raise it to?
Honestly, I have no idea. $10, I think, is okay.
Because right now, $10 is basically what has been analyzed to be enough to live at sort of the lowest level.
Maybe 15.
We're talking with Jerry here at First Nations Health Center, and we're going to be asking him some questions about minimum wage in Albuquerque. And so, do you currently know what the minimum wage in Albuquerque is?
I think it's like $8.60.
Have you ever had a minimum wage job in the past?
I was like 18.
You were 18? What was it?
It was cleaning for the city.
Were you living by yourself at that time?
Yes.
Could you find that you could easily support yourself with a minimum wage job in Albuquerque?
Myself?
Yeah.
Yes, I'd be able to support myself.
Did you have a hard time getting by day to day on the minimum wage?
Not really. I was kind of raised strict.
If you did have somebody else depending on you, think it would be harder
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My girlfriend, she's got 2 kids and she makes the minimum wage and she struggles.
Mhm.
Good thing I make more than her.
What do you think are some struggles that some other people might have just getting by day to day on minimum wage?
One would be food, the basic necessities, hygiene, some small luxuries like cable, telephone. Because if you factor in $8.50 an hour, 40, some jobs don't even give you 40 hours a week. So you're lucky to bring home maybe 400, 500, 600 at the most every 2 weeks.
If you're working 40 hours a week, $8.50 comes out to about $13.60 a month. And
That's
so
what, before taxes. So after taxes, you're still making little over 600, 590, 2 weeks. That's not enough.
So if you could raise the minimum wage, what do you think you would raise it to?
Me personally, I'd probably give him $12, $13 an hour. Because a lot of the people who have minimum wage jobs are in customer service, not so much retail, but like fast food, and those are the people who really hear a lot of what people have to say, and they deal with more of the general public than the cops do.
Mm-hmm. So there's talk about raising the nationwide minimum wage to $10.10. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. Well, if it does come to $10 an hour, to $10.10 an hour for minimum wage,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the people who don't have jobs might have the incentive to
Mm-hmm.
look for work.
Yeah.
Because if you have something to look forward to, then most people will likely stop doing nothing.
Yeah. We're interviewing Marietta about what she thinks of the minimum wage and how she's dealt with minimum wage in the past. So, are you currently employed in Albuquerque?
No.
Okay. Do you know what the minimum wage is in Albuquerque? It's
No.
okay. It's $8.50. Sorry. Have you ever had a minimum wage job in the past? What was it? And what was it?
Yeah, I was housekeeper when I used to do housekeeping. I did a minimum wage. That was like 03.
2003.
Mm-hmm.
Could you find that you could support yourself easily with the minimum wage?
Not really.
Did you have a hard time just getting
Yeah.
by every day to day? What was it like?
It's hard. You just live paycheck to paycheck. You don't get no extra money.
Mm-hmm.
With the utilities and the rent, everything. It's too much.
Mm-hmm. Did you have anyone depending on you back when you had that job?
No.
It was just you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could raise the minimum wage, what would you raise it to? $8.50 an hour ends up being about $13.60 a month.
Maybe $9.
Mm-hmm.
9 to 10.
There's talk about raising it to maybe $10.10. What do you think about that?
I think that's great.
Yeah, because there's been an analysis of what the lowest standard of living is, and they found out that $10.10 will end up paying out that much.
Yeah, because everything's getting expensive now.
Yeah. We were talking with Pablo here about his experience and opinions on the minimum wage in Albuquerque. And so, first question is, do you currently know what the minimum wage in Albuquerque is?
$8.88, I think.
Okay. Have you ever had a minimum wage job in the past?
Yeah. My first job was actually for a minimum wage job, so it was when I was younger.
How old were you when you had it?
18.
18? Were you on your own? Were you living by yourself when you had that job? Okay. When you had that minimum wage job, did you find that you could easily support yourself with the amount of money you were making?
I could, barely. I had enough to pay for my rent and my bills, but at the time I didn't really have many bills besides just rent and basically just like basic utilities, so it wasn't that bad. It was just enough to get by, basically.
Mm-hmm. There are other people that you know that do have people that depend on them. How do you think they would do well with like a minimum wage job?
I don't think that well, considering that the cost of living, depending on where you're living at, would probably factor in. So especially if it's enough for you to maybe depend on yourself, but if you have independence, it's a little harder to do that with one job that's minimum wage. So I think maybe if you have more than one job, you could do it, or if you're just depending on yourself, you could do it.
What do you think the minimum wage should be?
I guess depending on where you're at, where the cost of living would be at, because I know in some places higher, like in Santa Fe is a lot higher than there and here because of the cost of living. So I guess depending where you are, I guess it can factor in how much it is and enough for them to support themselves. There's
been a talk with the federal government about possibly raising it to $10.10. What do you think about that?
I think it'd be a good price for enough for people to support on their own and to possibly use that as a stepping stone to build up.
Do you think it'll possibly motivate more people to get jobs?
Yes.
All right. Since 1978, the federal minimum wage has been raised by $4.60 from $2.65 to $7.25. However, the rate of inflation has vastly surpassed the minimum wage increase. The hourly rate that would be on par with the increase in inflation is approximately around $10 an hour. The yearly minimum wage income ends up being around $15,080 a year. The federal minimum is even lower for tipped employees at $2.13 an hour to account for tips. Today, many organizations, including the Native American Voters Alliance, are in favor of raising the minimum wage to match the increase in the cost of living.